Pita bread is such a simple food, but when you make it homemade, it's absolutely incredible. I'm gonna show you how easy it is to make, and you are gonna love it when you take your first bite. I have such awesome memories of racing home after school just to eat something. I was starving, whether it's a gigantic bowl of cereal with the biggest spoon I could find, or stuffed pita bread, or like me and my dad used to call it, just pocket bread. See how much lunch meat, lettuce, and tomatoes we can jam in there? So good. Let me show you how easy this is to make, okay? First, we need to get that raft going. Sound good? Let's bake. The first thing we need to do is activate our yeast. So in a stand mixer, I'm gonna add in some hot water in between 115 and 120. I know it's hotter, but the cold bowl is gonna bring it down to that perfect temperature. Next, go ahead and sprinkle in some active yeast. And because it's active, we need to feed it to get it going so that it forms that perfect raft. So at this point, add in about half the amount of sugar for the entire recipe. We're gonna give it a quick little whisk by hand. No need to put a whisk on the stand attachment, just do it by hand, and we're gonna let it sit for in between 5 and 7 minutes. Homies, it's these simple things like activating your yeast so that you can make bread that rises. Super simple technique, but once you learn it and start applying it to the other breads that you're making, you're gonna make the most incredible homemade food from scratch, and better than anything you're gonna get in the store or the restaurant, I promise you. Now what we need to do is get going on our dry ingredients. So in a separate bowl, I've got some all-purpose flour. If you only have bread flour, that should actually be okay as well. And in traditional fashion, we're gonna add in some whole wheat flour, gonna provide some great flavor here. We're gonna add in the rest of the sugar that we didn't use when feeding the yeast. We're gonna season it up with a little bit of sea salt. I'm a huge fan of sea salt. You could use kosher salt as well, no problem. Using a whisk, go ahead and combine all of these ingredients together. You wanna make sure it's mixing really well because we're obviously gonna pour it right into our stand mixer. Let's go have a look. You can see a beautiful raft has begun to form on top. This looks perfect. You get a little closer to look. You can see it even kind of burping up a little bit. It's very active, ready to roll. So at this point, go ahead and fix your hook attachment on the stand mixer. We're gonna get it going. For a little fat, we're gonna add in some extra virgin olive oil, and then scoop by scoop, what I like to do is sort of just add in those dry ingredients. You can absolutely put it all in once, but for me in this big bowl, flour seems to go everywhere, and I don't like cleaning up my kitchen twice. So what I'm gonna do is just add it in 1 cup at a time until it's all in there. And this part of the process takes a little bit of time. It's in between 8 and 10 minutes when kneading it with a stand mixer. Yes, you can do it by hand, but you're probably looking at more like 15 minutes. The stand mixer can do way better job than you can, but mix it until it's got a nice smooth surface and it is a little bit sticky. I cannot say it enough. You want this dough to be a bit sticky. At this point, let's go ahead and pull it off the hook and out of the bowl. I've got a lightly floured surface. I know you can barely see it. We're gonna form it into a ball just like I do with all of my other doughs. Kind of make sure we can test it out. You see that's perfectly smooth. And to make sure that it's good, push your finger in there, and if it springs right back, we know we're in good shape. And to prove that it's sticky, take a little pinch. If it sticks to your finger like that, this is absolutely perfect and exactly how you want your pita bread dough to be. So now what we're gonna do is add it right to a container and hit it with a little bit of olive oil just to coat it up. Make sure that it comes right out of there with ease and it's not sticking. And pop a lid over the top, and you know my little trick. We're going over to the oven. We're gonna put it in there. Just gonna turn the light on. This is a perfect proofing environment. It's gonna take about 90 minutes or until it doubles in size. I'm gonna stop and say, yes, I know making bread is a labor time of love, but there's nothing like homemade bread. It's so super good and one of those fundamental foundational foods in the history of the world. I promise you, just a little bit more to go. You're gonna love it. Just hold on. What we're gonna do is pull our bread out. You can see it's doubled in size. That's why I like to use these containers, because you can literally measure and see how much it's risen. On the side, go ahead and lightly flour up a surface. We're gonna take out the dough. It's super light and fluffy. It's really awesome. And what I like to do is press it down into a rough rectangle. It doesn't have to be perfect, but sort of form it into that rectangle shape, and then using a bench knife, I'm going to cut it into 12 individual pieces. So just cut it in half and then work your way over into threes and then come back and cut it down the center. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's totally okay if some are a little bit bigger than the others. Don't freak out about this. Go ahead and take one, and then we need to form it into a little ball. What I like to do is sort of tuck the dough underneath it and continue to do it until it's nice and smooth on top. This is only going to take maybe 15 to 20 seconds each. No reason for them to look perfect because we're going to roll them out in a little bit, so don't stress out if they're not a perfectly smooth ball on all sides. Set it to the side on a little bit of flour on a countertop. I like to give it a little press down, and then next to it a little bit more flour. Go ahead and take one of those balls, add it there, but make sure you cover the other ones with a towel. Now go back, roll it out. We want to make sure it's smooth on top. Don't do any creases or anything like that. Make sure it's completely smooth. And then continue to roll it until it's about 1/8 of an inch thick. The thinner, the better here, you guys, I promise you. We're going to set it to the side. We're going to add on a towel. It's going to rise for 30 more minutes. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do is add a pizza stone to an oven, and I'm going to crank the heat on 550. If you can't go 550, go 500. So there are actually a couple different ways to cook pita bread. You saw me prep up the oven with the pizza stone. It's super hot. You could use a cookie sheet tray too, okay? If you don't have a pizza stone, no problem. The other way is on the cooktop. Here is both ways. Let's go ahead and remove our rolled out round pita bread dough. I'm going right into the oven on that preheated hot stone. Go ahead and close up the door. We're looking at maybe 2 minutes per side in the oven. You can see it start to rise up. Once it is completely risen, what I'm going to do is flip it over, use a spatula, maybe even tongs would be okay. We're going to cook it for a couple more minutes. You can really see that it's rising up. This is perfect pita bread or pocket bread. And let's just go ahead and take a look. I mean, it looks great. It's starting to fall a little bit because it's out of the oven. That's fine. But I like the other way, and that's in a pan. In a hot cast iron skillet on low heat, let it sit for a few minutes. We're going to add it in there. You can see it start to bubble up. We're going to flip it over maybe every 30 seconds for a total of 2 to 3 minutes. We just want to get some brown spots on there. Make sure it's cooked through. We don't want raw dough in the middle. That's no good. Again, flip it back over. You see those nice brown spots, absolutely perfect. We also want to make sure that it rises completely. Let's fast forward, or else this is going to take too long and you're going to get mad at me. Perfect pocket bread, my friends. This is absolutely excellent. We are done. We're going to take it out of the pan. And while there's nothing to plate up, check out these slow-mo beauties. Holy smokes, is this bread just so good. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, check out this video because you know that recipe is going to be so good, and I'll see you on there.